Welcome into our players-only meeting. This is brought to you by Blue Smoke Cigar. You see their website right there is where you can learn more about them. It's one of the best cigar clubs you can ever find. They're great here in Knoxville, out in West Knoxville. If you get a membership, well, first of all, you don't have to have a membership. You can just go by, select one of their great cigars, enjoy it right there on the premises. But if you're a member, then you get into the back rooms where they've got the card tables, the golf simulator. They've got all the HD TVs, the leather seating. It's really a nice place. And if you're a member, you get 15% off their selection of elite cigars. Blue Smoke Cigar. Check it out for yourself this week out at the corner of Kingston Pike and South Peters Road. Blue Smoke Cigar. All right. Joined by the players in this players-only meeting. I guess I'm the only. You guys are the players, I'm the only. We got Sterling Hinton right there. We got Will Overstreet, and we got Brian Randolph, 3 VFLs. I'm going to throw you some questions and topics that were thrown at me on Twitter. Also going to start with one that got a lot of talk yesterday. Tennessee allowed the seniors to get their photos made with the parents and stuff on the field, but what they didn't do for the first time in most people's memory is they didn't announce the guys and let them run through the tee one last time by their lonesome, which I'm guessing all 3 of you guys did. Mm-hmm. Now, that has rubbed some people the wrong way. I was talking to Jimmy about his radio shows, and there were people saying, if he's going to tear up our traditions, you can pack Jeremy Pruitt up and send him back to Alabama. Mm-hmm. That may be a little strong, but if you guys had if you were your senior year, and they told you, okay, you're not going to do the last run through, we're going to just let you stand over here and do something else, would you have been upset about that, or would you be cool with it?
Personally, I wouldn't mind because I'm not an emotional person, but in football, there's a lot of emotional people and a lot of people who really do love the ball walk, going through the tee and all that stuff, and they grew up in Tennessee, and it means a lot to them. So I just find it hard as a team that everybody will be accepting to it. Me personally, I wouldn't care as much, but I know I'll have some teammates who wouldn't like it.
I would be ticked off. I would have said some words and said that's a bunch of just because I think all the players, whether they may not hate, they can live with it being taken away, but they've seen everybody else do that.
Yeah.
And I think you want that one last time through the tee, and for it to be by yourself, it's not too much to ask for. Mm-hmm. So for me, it would have made me irate. I'd have had a few things to say to people making that decision.
I wonder if they knew this was coming, because otherwise did they know this so they would know that now against Kentucky this is really your last time through the tee, so soak it up. This is your last time, as opposed to just springing them on them this week, and I don't get the last trip. Sterling, do you have an issue with it?
I would have asked questions. And it's hard to talk about it and not almost be hindsight 2020, because I ran through the tee my last time, John. I didn't play that game. I was hurt. So I was running through with my jersey on in some sweats. And I never forget that feeling that I had, like, man, it's my last time running through the tee. And I never forget watching the year before my friend and the captain of that team, the '89 team, Marion Hobby, running through the tee last time, and guys cried. Mm-hmm. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, and so I would have asked why. And, and I probably had a lot of teammates who would have been upset like Will would have been.
Yeah, you only had 13 seniors, and, some of those guys like Chris transferred in as grad transfers, so that includes walk-ons. But still, those 13 guys, you saw it happen with Garantano yesterday. You've seen guys blow their knees. Each and every one of those guys, walk-on to grad transfer to the guy who played 5 years over there, like a Todd Kelly Jr., they all put it on the line for the school, for the fans. Yes, everybody has some dream there of the NFL and stuff, but a lot of that is what you do for the folks around you. I thought they deserved it. Yeah, and you personally.
I hope they, whatever they decided, maybe a mistake yesterday, go back to it next year. Don't stay with what you just did to do it.
Not that one.
I'm surprised that Philip Fulmer allowed that one to happen. If
from
he knew
a
about
production side, though, John P., it could have been a situation where it just didn't have enough time before kickoff. Where a lot of things goes into game production, and they got a new game production guy there, and maybe didn't have enough time scheduled for all the guys to run through, and then the team come. That's an extra 10 minutes, and that's a lot of time in game production, as I've learned from being a DJ over there.
Okay. But they should have made time, and you hit it on the head with the walk-ons.
That's bad preparation then.
That's the walk-ons game right there. It's running through the tee, and that's what they They don't get a scholarship. They don't get no money. That's what they
and you get to hear your name.
For. Yeah, they get to hit their name.
Yeah,
So.
Your picture,
that's a great point.
Jumbotron.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know.
That was a mistake.
Yeah.
That needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
My guess
think
is
it can be.
I bet Philip Fulmer will correct that. That's the kind of thing I would think that. I wonder what his reaction to that.
That's kind of.
I don't know.
that's
I
also-
wonder if he knew.
That's also kind of the thing you're going to hear enough about to say, hey, maybe a few extra minutes.
Yeah.
We should just keep that and keep everybody from being riled up
Yeah,
about this.
true.
It's what Tennessee
Pick which
doesn't have.
battlefield to die on. in other
Tennessee
words.
doesn't have a great history of doing that, though. It took
Yeah.
them several years to figure out. Just bring back the Lady Vols name. Just bring it back. So this is the same kind of thing. I hope they don't, draw a line in the sand and say this is one we're going to fight over. You're right. Pick your battles. This ain't a battle.
This isn't the battle you want to pick. I can tell you that
I
right
still
now.
remember the one that stands out to me. I was still in high school at the time, but the Colt hero, he'd been injured against Alabama, and they went on to win the Sugar Bowl. But the Vandy game, Tennessee's going to win its first SEC championship since 1969. It's 1985. Tony Robinson, bad knee. They put him on a cart, and he's standing on one of these, like a meter-maid vehicle, and they call out the name, and that place erupted. Those types of guys who are hurt, the walk-ons, they deserve to have their names called.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the fans.
Oh yeah.
They haven't exactly been packing Neyland Stadium. Not that I can blame them, but the last 2 years, you had 50,000 people for Vanderbilt and LSU, and don't give me that paid attendance stuff. It's half full. LSU and Vanderbilt last year were half full. Sold thousands of their seats to StubHub, who then gave them to Bama fans this year. Kentucky had a hell of a lot of blue in there last week. You had a pretty nice day yesterday. It's a little cool, but it's a clear, nice football game against an SEC foe. You're coming off a win over a top 11 team, and there's not 70,000 people over there. How concerned are you that it seems you've hit kind of a level of apathy with the fan base? I mean, what's this say for next year? Are we at the point where this fan base says, I'll come back when you prove it to me?
Yeah. I think we're definitely the area of concern right now. You mentioned these are all SEC games, and I remember when I was a freshman, we were getting at least 90 to teams like Buffalo and North Texas, but when you have a team like Missouri coming in here and you only get 88,000, it's a big SEC game.
And again, that's paid attendance.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
Who didn't
70
come.
real.
And it's the last home game of the year. That's very concerning that we only got 88 last night.
I think everybody can watch the product on the field and say
Yeah.
this isn't good enough. And I think that's what you're seeing is we might win this game, but I think they're sitting there watching it going, but it's not very fun to watch. Even sometimes when you win a game against a Charlotte or something, you just go, who do I get behind? There's not a lot of great players out there playing great football.
But on the same token, when I was a freshman, we didn't have a good team, but we still had people coming, so that's why.
But you still had people, but it had been a
Yeah.
long, you hadn't had it consistently
True.
bad.
I'll just say this, though, but if that's the case, you can't keep saying, we're there, rain or shine, we're the best fans in America. If you're
I wanna
not,
hear it.
then stop saying that. Because, I mean, Nebraska's, they've been down, too, to the point that Tennessee beat Nebraska at a bowl a couple of years ago, and people went, who cares? It's Nebraska. They suck. Nebraska's got a sellout streak that goes back to the 60s, and every time you look at they started the season 0-6. Game 7's on TV, it's packed. Now, maybe there's not as much to do in Lincoln, Nebraska as there is Knoxville, but, this is a two-way street. If you were a player, Sterling, we all talk about when the crowd gets into it, it helps the team. Doesn't it stand to reason that if it's an empty stadium, you're noticing that if you're on the field?
I got to be honest with you, John P. on that one. I never heard the fans when I played.
Okay.
I love the fact they were there. Maybe other people did. I never heard them. So I just remember, we have at that time was 92,000 in Neyland, and I remember we going to Boston College, and they had 30,000. They were the loudest 30,000 out there, but people could still hear my voice. But I think the attendance into games is not just a Tennessee problem. I think it's just an athletic problem. I think people are now like staying home with their remote controls, not paying $100 to park, not dealing with some of the obnoxious people they have to sit by, and it's cost so much to take your family to enjoy a game. You can do it all at home and have a game party at the house. So I think that's what the challenge is right now is for sports clubs and college and pro to get more of an experience for the fan to want to come inside the stadium.
I won't argue that that's true, but I don't think that's why your attendance is down by 30,000. I don't think that Alabama fans didn't mind driving all the way from Tuscaloosa to get in here and fill those seats.
But
Alabama's
not selling
Alabama.
against poor opponents either.
You should have one game,
but they
Nick
show up on the road for SEC. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind. The attendance was perfect. Never mind. I shouldn't have brought it up. It was great. 70,000 is exactly what you need. That's good stuff. I'm just being negative by talking, reality.
No, I agree with you, John P. I'm just saying this.
It's a concern on a two-way street.
Yeah,
I think one, if you're the UT, if you're the university, you got to worry about getting people in there because of the rising costs and everything else. You better not raise ticket prices this year.
No.
On the other hand, you have to, if you're there for recruits, if you want to talk about you got to recruit, then give them a place that they go, holy shit, these people show up whether we suck or not.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then you can't have as much voice in complaining.
I agree. I agree. But I think the fan base at this point feels like we've done this how many times?
I agree.
And they're and they look at the product on the field and they go, it's not good enough and it's going to take a couple years to even be good enough to be competitive.
Understand that completely. I do not argue that. There's not one person I would say, how dare you not take your money and go buy a seat. I wouldn't say that to anybody unless that person said to me, I'm the best fan in the world. And I said, did you go this Saturday? Well, no. Okay, then shut up.
I understand that part too, right?
It's a two-way street.
That's real.
Right.
That's real.
Let's get to some topics that folks threw at us on Twitter. Somebody asked me, how many of your guys will say that Jeremy Pruitt is in over his head? I said no one, because that would be a dumb thing to say after 11 games. Will anyone say he's over his head at this point?
I wouldn't say he's over his head, but he definitely has a hard job. It's definitely hard. It's not impossible. He has a lot of connections. He's an Alabama coach. From what I've seen, he's a pretty good coach too. He has some good scheme. I think he knows when to take risks, but we just don't have the athletes right now, and to get him to come here, it's going to be a long road.
The judgment's out, but I mean, it doesn't matter who you pulled in there. If they can't go get a certain level of player in here, it doesn't matter. They all have that same time clock on them for this group.
Yeah.
He's got a hard job. I definitely do not think he's in over his head. Now, what I like is the staff that he's assembled. You got some guys that know the game, that have been done well at the game, played at the next level for a long time. We even got a Heisman Trophy winner here, coaching our running backs who play quarterback. So, I like what he's assembled, and I think they're welcoming the challenge.
Yeah, I don't think he's over his head. I don't think he can make a statement like that after 11 games. Considering what he inherited, he's a first-year coach. Again, that plays into all of this. I said it all off-season. I still think that's a part of it now. We talked about it in the show, the gambling thing. I bet he's not gambling like this in his second year or third year. I just think he's learning on the job, which is what every first-year coach has to do. So it would be crazy to say he's in over his head after 11 games. Get back to me next week, then we'll know. Is Vandy a make or break game for this team and for Pruitt? We just answered that about Pruitt. I don't think it's make or break.
For this team,
the last game. Bowl or no bowl, really.
Yeah. Did you meet expectations or exceed expectations? I mean, I thought they were a 5-win team. Yeah. Did you exceed it? If you win this game, you did.
Well, see, my thing is, don't let those great wins go to waste. See, that's why I like this game, and I think it's a make-or-break game for the entire football culture because we've done so many good things. We had some bad situations. We've done beating Auburn and beating Kentucky where they were ranked like that were great wins. Beating Vanderbilt, another SEC team, will be an awesome feat for this team.
More importantly than that, losing to Vanderbilt and what that means is more important than beating Vanderbilt and knowing what that means.
Bob had that question in the show, and it was it was their quick slant segment, so we didn't get tons of time to talk about it. But this is a big game. Not that he's going to be fired. Not that anyone should say, "Aha, well, he's not the guy." No. But if you lose this game, this offseason is going to be ugly, and you're going to have people next year who say, "All right, after that, you better win 3 more games this year," which makes no sense. But if you win, and then you somehow win a bowl, you're 7-6, that's a whole different offseason.
Yes,
that's people who have you start looking at the positive. We saw it after the Kentucky game. You hadn't played well. You beat Kentucky, and all of a sudden, he should be coach of the year. They've had steady improvement from then until now. It's like, calm down. So if he beats Vanderbilt and then somehow wins a bowl game,
Yes, sir.
Happy off season versus storm clouds hanging over the program. All right. Let's see. There was no tackling today. So many mistakes. Hopefully no bowl. Just get on with basketball.
Man.
Oh no!
That's not a real fan.
That's not a real please
fan.
don't.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
It's been reported that Missouri doesn't normally blitz. I don't know who reported this, but because Garantano can't see the blitz coming, they blitzed him. How is it that Garantano was highly touted yet can't check out of a blitz? Well, first of all, they were hitting him without the blitz early. I mean, Ryan Johnson just – I don't know. Did you see the one where he just –
straight up there.
Olay! Yeah. That's where the
we
one
call
where
it a lookout block.
Yeah.
Look out!
Garantano just fetal positioned at the 3-yard line to keep himself alive. I mean, what are you doing? So I don't buy that.
What upsets me, and I don't want to overtalk my colleagues here, but
No.
Talking about a quarterback who's putting time into an opportunity to play on Saturday. Do not think for 1 minute that people are doing something he hasn't seen or practiced. Unfortunately, they practice too. So you have to. Football's a game. It's a team game, the biggest team game in the world. You got to be a team to win. And Jared Garantano can notice a blitz, but when he's getting tackled by unfortunate wins in other positions that impact his performance, don't make statements as if you were the same guy in the film room preparing for that.
Well, let me tell you this too. On the play, he got hit yesterday.
I know
They
where
had
he's going.
it. They had it blocked.
Yeah.
The tackle did the same thing though he did in the Florida game. He went with the outside guy, and the running back stepped inside to take the inside guy, and then he said, "Oh no, I'm going to take you." And then when he did that, the running back's out of position, and he can't get out, and they get hit. But that's the same play, and it wasn't a case of he didn't recognize it. It was a case of we have the guys to block it, and nobody blocked somebody.
You've had some offensive linemen, former Vols on the offensive line who are in the media, who said earlier this year that all these sacks aren't on the offensive line. Some are on Garantano because he's not great at picking up the blitz. Because of that, which I don't doubt he's missed some of those. Yeah. But that's been taken by the people who don't like Garantano as their cue to say he never picks up a blitz and all the sacks are on him, which I think we saw yesterday. It's clearly not on it. Go ask Chris if those were on him yesterday. It's your offensive line. But that's where it came from. You know, you can't be reasonable and say, well, sometimes it's the offense. Most of the time it's the offensive line, but yes, sometimes he does have a problem with the blitz. You have to either say, no, it's all offensive line, or it's all Garantano, and that's when the BS.
Yeah, the one yesterday was a perfect point of it was a mistake by the running back, or the offensive lineman, but working together, they didn't work together.
Right.
So they gave a guy straight up.
Continuity.
Mentality.
You have the word continuity tattooed on you somewhere. You need tattooed. Wait a second, I don't want to know. All right. Somebody asked why so thin at linebacker and offensive line. Well, I can tell you offensive line, you had injuries to Smith, Kennedy, Jack Jones looked promising, and he finished his career. It ended his career. Chance Hall isn't the player that people thought he was going to be. You had a guy in Vinzel Boulware who transferred to Miami, and I don't think he's starting down there. He's playing, but I don't think he might have started a couple of games. But you just had a wall of misfortune there on the offensive line. You also know you're out of it now, but there was a year where Derek Dooley didn't sign an offensive lineman. So it's kind of so when you do that, then you're rushing to get other guys. Did you take some guys who maybe you shouldn't have taken because you just needed numbers? Then you throw in the strength and conditioning stuff.
Then you throw in we had a coaching staff that recruited by book and said that guy's got 4 stars.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit my system, but I'm taking him, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Somebody said they like the onside kick, but Pruitt always tries to run the clock out at the end of the second quarter, and he punts on 4th and short when losing in the second half. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. That gets back to my point. I'll gamble now, but I won't gamble now. It's like, why do you value this possession but not this one? I don't.
Right. Now, you can make a point. I mean, making a point of should he do the onside kicks, I agree you should do the onside kicks the way he did them.
Yeah.
On the thing of when you should, why did you not go for there? I do agree with that there's inconsistent of, I would take advantage of that. You're still not winning the line of scrimmage, and you need to take advantage of this play if you have a shot in this game. So I agree. there are some discrepancies of saying I don't see that making sense.
Yeah, but to Coach's defense, I feel like he would have to gamble in every situation since our team's not putting us in positions to win with our effort. So,
well, that's
yeah, so,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're having an onside kick in the first half of games, then why are you running out the clock at the end of the half? Now, yesterday they tried to go down and score, and they had the interception that turned the whole game. So maybe that's why he's being conservative there. But again, you're either all out or you're all conservative, and I can't figure out he's conservative.
I think it's a feel well.
Yeah.
Which is what I said in the show.
But
by feet,
on the
not by
onside
playing the
kicks,
percentages.
but on the onside kicks, I just thought those were better decisions.
Those are percentages.
I just saw what he saw on tape because I saw where the guy was getting placed and what he did before the kick. And it was an obvious opening that they'd been putting on tape for several weeks.
As you guys said, it's beautiful.
Really
pretty. really lovely to watch. It didn't work, but it's just, of course.
9 yards further than if they kicked it in the end zone.
I'm kidding. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. To me, this is the kind of thing that you're going to have to work on as a first-year coach. I think he's getting a feel for it. And I also think guys, when they have less to lose, are more likely to be a riverboat gambler. I don't think this guy's going to be Les Miles where we're scratching our heads over what he's doing in year 8.
Well, it's not just less to lose because of the first year, but it's saying,
I've got to do something.
I've got to do something because I am so bad and outmanned and outgunned.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, I think, why you get more conservative or not conservative on this stuff. Is are you in the game with your front group?
Right. Let's put it this way. Nick Saban, in his first year against Tennessee, opened the game with the onside kick. Remember that? Yeah. And from that point on, Tennessee hasn't beaten Alabama. How many times do you see him doing that now? He doesn't have to do it now.
Right.
Back then, on a team that went 7-6 that year and lost to Louisiana Monroe, he pulled out some stops. So, same thing. All right. Les Miles is an example of a guy who
straight
gambled every day.
Willy-nilly his whole career. Didn't make
He's coming
sense.
back now.
Yeah, I know.
Kansas.
See how that works in Kansas. All right, if the returning players aren't capable and it's difficult for freshmen to start on the offensive line, can we reasonably expect to see improvement on the offensive line next season?
No.
I say yes.
Continuity.
Time to get the continuity. Exactly.
But you're going to be starting freshmen.
They'll have more times to creatively game plan of how do you get around a terrible offensive line.
If they're freshmen, they're not being creative as in the game. They're doing exactly what they're told. You know what to expect. I'm just saying. If you know what you're getting out of your guys,
I think the guy makes a good point, guy or girl. I think that makes a good point that you can't reasonably. I think you might be able to expect some improvement. They're going to get stronger in the weight program, maybe. Second year in the system won't hurt. But
maybe a freshman can come in and play.
Yeah, but the idea, here's the thing. Bob threw this one out last year, and it's a good point. Trey Smith was a damn good freshman, right?
Yeah.
The line still sucked, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, you can't have just one. I'm just saying.
Well, I know. Let's say
I was agreeing that maybe you get stronger in certain spots. Maybe you add one guy.
Well, the
and
idea
you get better, but you ain't going to be great.
Perfect scenario is you get Trey Smith back, which I wouldn't bet on that happening. And you get these 2 5-star tackles. Is starting freshman tackles the best way to win in the SEC? No, but that's what that's the best step forward, but it's not the best step to win next year.
Right.
But know what I find interesting with this whole conversation is that I think Cade Mays is playing next to another freshman at Georgia right now.
But they're the weakest link on their offensive line, too.
Well,
we had 3 sacks against that side of the offensive line.
Whoa!
I forgot about that.
Bringing reality. But you know why? Because the Georgia guys didn't have continuity. All right, let me give you 3 quick comments here that people sent in. Did praise after the Kentucky team set this team back? After the Kentucky game, set this team back?
No.
I don't think that was
No.
They're just up and down all year.
Oh,
how many people not named Jeremy Pruitt want to see a 6-6 Tennessee team play in a bowl game?
I want to see him play in a bowl game.
I want to see him, but I'm going 80%.
I did a Twitter poll, and
90.
87% said take the bid even at 5-7.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
50% of that said they wouldn't go because they'd watch it on TV, but still,
I'm
87%.
not going either, but I'm just saying they ought to go.
Always play
the team ought to go. I'm not going.
I'll close with this one. I thought this one would almost qualify as a mean tweet. Jennifer Morris sent this one in. Said the Vols are like that old boyfriend you hoped would change, but they never do. Breaking my heart every week. There's some truth, I'm sure, out there. Old boyfriend or girlfriend that doesn't change. All right. Thank you very much for watching this. Thanks to these guys for doing it. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors, and we will see you next Saturday, 10:30 a.m. on Fox 43 as we preview Tennessee Vanderbilt game day. And then next Sunday at 11 on WATE 6, we'll break it down. We'll talk about whether or not the Vols are going bowling. And let me throw this in real quick. Look, there's 78 bowl slots available. Jeremy Pruitt said he would take a bowl bid if a 5 and 7 one came available. I think they're going to fill all the slots, though, with 6 and 6. There's like 21 teams that can still finish 6 and 6. So more than likely, you're going to fill that up, and you're not going to worry about a 5 and 7 opportunity, which is good because I don't think they should take one.
Well, it might take Tennessee because we have such great fans that'll go.
Oh, yeah.
Hope they're not looking at the crowd in the last couple of weeks as we bring it full circle. Thanks to these guys. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.